Hello, Brooke. It is so wonderful to have you on the new mid. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Michelle.
I'm so excited to talk about this topic of meditation. Um, what is meditation exactly?
Well, there are 100 ways to answer that question. Meditation and mindful contemplation goes back thousands of years to some of the earliest civilizations, and almost all religions incorporate some form of it. But in its most simple terms, meditation is a practice where we use a technique such as mindfulness to train our attention and awareness. And in training our mind, we can achieve a clear, calm, stable state of mind. So, again, it's really just a practice where we train the mind to come back to the present moment over and over and over again so that we can be more present in our daily lives when we're off of the cushion.
Well, that's so interesting because you hear a lot of people saying, "Oh, do meditation, meditate, it'll help you." But what are the benefits of doing meditation? Of
Well,
bringing it back to mindfulness, as you were saying. Why
sure.
is that good for us?
Well, we've all experienced this, that the mind is hardly ever in the present moment. We are either rehashing the past or rehearsing the future. And when we live in the past or the future inside of our thoughts, we're missing the now. We're missing the present moment. And really, the present moment is the only moment we actually have to be alive, right? To experience the richness of the world. So if we live most of our lives on autopilot, lost in thoughts, we miss our lives, literally. So meditation can train our minds to be fully present. And really, a big piece of this is sort of holding what's already happening right here in this moment with kindness. And that's a really big piece of particularly mindfulness meditation. And the benefits of doing meditation, there's more and more research coming out every day about the benefits of meditation. We know that it reduces stress, it decreases anxiety, it helps resolve depression, pain, physical pain. It can help resolve and have a, a more skillful relationship with physical pain. And it increases feelings of well-being, peace, happiness. So, when the masters call it the big medicine, that's why they do that. It almost sounds too good to be true, like a cure-all, but it's certainly not easy. But it is simple and it can be learned.
Well, it's interesting because mindset, it is so easy to let your mind just go crazy and not have control over it and all of these negative thoughts that you might have come into your head. So I understand having any kind of tool to try and wrestle with that is really positive. Is that one of the reasons why you started doing meditation? What brought you to practice meditation and then teach it?
Right. Yeah. So, I was just feeling immense suffering. I was overwhelmed with negative thoughts. Immediately when something would happen or someone, I would immediately go to the negative side of it. And I just kind of thought that, oh, I was born this way and my mood point is set here and I'm just always going to kind of be dissatisfied and, maybe angry. And, um, you know, what I realized was there's a way out of that, and it took some time. And, I tried all different kinds of ways to alleviate the suffering that really we all feel as human beings. Um, and none of it lasted very long, right? None of the superficial things that I've tried, whether it be medication or, other forms of distraction or even Facebook or anything to kind of, ease my suffering or distract me from my pain, none of that worked for very long. And I said, there's got to be a better way. Well, there was, and it, it's been around for thousands of years, right? And so it took me a while to discover it. And really, I just went on a quest. I said, I want to be a happy person. I want to feel peace. And how do I find, where does that come from and how can I get that? Um, and it's really that simple. I wanted to be happy. And I think at our core, that's, every human being's deepest desire, right? It's the prime issue in human existence. So we're all seeking that on some level. And meditation is the only practice that I've come upon that has actually helped me get closer and closer to being more peaceful, as much as possible.
Okay, that sounds amazing. That like I want what she's having, as I said in When Harry Met Sally. So, what meditation are you doing? There's a lot of different types. There's transcendental. What type of meditation do you do?
So I was
And also, how did you pick that right one for you?
Mhm. Well, so for me, it was a little bit of a just happenstance. So in college, I got very interested in Eastern philosophy, Eastern medicine. I was really sick, physically sick at the time. And so I was looking for new ways to kind of figure out how to cure my issues. And so I kind of stumbled upon Buddhism and I stumbled upon a lot of the Eastern religions and started really learning, like, wow, this is fascinating. And I would do a little bit of meditation here and there, but it wasn't until 2015, 2016, when I had a friend who said, I have a friend who teaches meditation down at this local yoga studio. He's starting the intro to meditation course. It's 8 weeks. You should go. And so it was just, okay, sure. Like, she kind of recommended this teacher to me, and he taught mindfulness meditation. And through him, I was exposed to lots of different Western teachers like Tara Brach and Jack Kornfield, who are now my teachers, who I'm going through a teacher training program with. Um, and so it's mindfulness meditation. It's also referred to as insight meditation or Vipassana, but really it's just the most basic form of meditation where you just develop an anchor. So that anchor could be your breath, it could be the sounds of the bird in the tree, your anchor could be a mantra, a loving kindness phrase that you repeat over and over again. But that's the kind of meditation that the idea is that when you're sitting in your formal practice, and you can be sitting in any position, you don't have to be in lotus with a weird, hand position. You can just be in a simple chair that you normally sit in, as long as you're upright. And, we say, try to have a posture with dignity and ease, that's comfortable. And the idea with the meditation is not to completely empty your mind of thoughts, which is a big misconception. I think a lot of people say, oh, I'll never be able to stop thinking. And that's right, you never will. The thoughts, the mind produces thoughts like the mouth produces saliva. So you're going to have the thoughts. The key is, how can we learn to accept them for what they are and not react so quickly to them, and sort of let them fly away the way a bird would fly away, neither good nor bad, just here's a thought and there it goes. And to really watch our thoughts and study our mind. And the way that we do this is we sort of practice the power of concentration. So let's say when I sit today, my anchor is going to be the sensation of air coming in at the tip of my nostril. So I'm just going to try to focus on that sensation for as long as I can. And within a few seconds, my mind's going to start to wander, and I'm going to start thinking about my to-do list or something that happened yesterday. And now here's my great opportunity to train for mindfulness, is I got to bring my attention back to my anchor, which is, okay, bring my attention back to my breath in this case. So now I've kind of done a bicep curl for my mind. And every time I wander and bring myself back to my point of attention, I've strengthened my concentration muscle, right? I've strengthened my own ability to come back into the present moment. And when you get off the cushion or you get out of the chair and it's time to sort of go live your life, you can implement this kind of mindfulness in your daily life. For instance, it's really as simple as do one thing at a time. If you take a shower, really experience the shower, feel the water, be there with it. Don't think about your meeting that you have, in half an hour. Just be in that shower. Or when you're washing dishes. I mean, this is a classic one. Are you washing dishes, or are you thinking about something else? Can you really feel how wonderful it feels to have the water and the soap on your hands? And, Can we be here? Can we do one thing at a time? And for me, that really encapsulates mindfulness.
It's so interesting that you say that because Oprah says that all the time. She talks about how she's so mindful, and when she's walking stairs, she feels a one foot on the stair and the next foot going on. And I think, she's practiced a lot of meditation through the years, and it's worked and helped her. So I guess it would work and help us as well.
I love Oprah. She's
I know.
amazing. And honestly, she's one of, I just read every book and I read the magazine every month and I listen to Super Soul Conversations, and she really has changed. I mean, she's a spiritual teacher,
Yeah, she
she
is.
really has become that. And any book recommendation or anyone she interviews, I immediately go out and read their books. And so it's her, and her teachings have really guided me on this journey. So yes, Oprah's amazing, and I know she does mindfulness meditation, but she also does transcendental meditation, uh,
Yeah,
which is the same idea, except you have a mantra and you just
right.
repeat the mantra silently in your head.
Well,
So
it's interesting that you were saying that you started meditation because you wanted to be a happier person,
yes,
that you had anger. So you talked about love and kindness. How does that work with your meditation, love and kindness? And how does that help you sort of release your anger? Could you tell us a little more about that?
absolutely. So loving kindness meditation is similar to mindfulness of the breath. When I was talking about, okay, let's have the anchor be, the sensation of the breath coming in my nose. Loving kindness is the same idea. It's just the anchor are phrases that you repeat silently in your head during your meditation. And you can get guided loving kindness meditations, which is a great way to start because you have somebody else sort of guiding you through the practice. And then you can, once you sort of learn sort of how it flows, you can kind of do it on your own without the guided meditation. But so what it is, loving kindness is an ancient practice, and it's simply sending well wishes to yourself and others. Just sending out positive energy to a specific person. That's what it is. And you can really think of it like compassion training, right? You're training yourself to be more compassionate by intentionally sending out good, positive well wishes to people. And so as a daily exercise, it helps us cultivate kindness. And I've actually seen this. I've experienced the transformation of literally becoming a kinder, more compassionate person just by doing this practice. So during the meditation, we repeat the phrases, and they can vary depending on what resonates with you. You can kind of come up with your own phrases. But what I use is, may you be well, may you be happy, and may you find peace. That's what works for me. So that's what I use. You'll find lots of variations on that. And then you say those things over and over and over again while you're visualizing someone. So what's really interesting, and the meditation that I really love, you start with yourself. You sort of say to, I want to be happy. I really do. I want to be happy. And that's a sort of human condition, and we all want to be happy. And may I be well. May I be happy. May I find peace. And then you move on to a friend, a loved one, someone who you have a really great relation. It could be a child, a pet, your grandmother, someone you just hold dearly. And then you imagine them and you say into your head silently, may you be well, may you be happy, may you find peace. You literally repeat that. And sometimes it may feel like it's like, automatic, like I'm just saying these things, but I'm not really feeling it. The more you say it, the more it starts to work. So I highly recommend just keep going, even if it feels, kind of phony. Like, oh, I'm saying this, but I might not really be like, my heart might not be wide open for this, but just keep going with it. So once you do the friend, then you pick a neutral person. So maybe it's somebody that you see at the grocery store that, helps you check out your groceries, or maybe it's your mail person, someone you don't have a deep relationship with, just a neutral person. And then you go ahead and you repeat the phrases for a few minutes for them. And then comes the really transformational part where you pick somebody that you have difficulties with, an enemy, someone that you love that maybe hurts you. I even had someone in my class yesterday say they picked the same person for their friend, the person their beloved, and the person they have challenges with. It was the same person. So that's really interesting. So in this way, you sit and you send out these well wishes to somebody who's hurt you. to somebody that maybe you have some resentment, that you're holding something, some kind of grudge, and you work with that. And that is really powerful. I mean, you hear that phrase that resentment is like swallowing poison and expecting the other person to die, right? Well, loving kindness is the antidote to resentment. It really is. And it goes a long way in helping to, set the intention to forgive others and actually going, moving towards true forgiveness, which takes a while, and also forgiving ourselves. So
Well,
it
what's interesting is that sort of takes the power away from those people, because you're giving, when you're angry at somebody or have ill feelings towards someone, you're sort of giving them your power. So
well,
by
absolutely.
forgiveness and releasing, you gain your peace. It really makes you more peaceful. But
Yeah.
that's interesting to actually wish them well. Like that's very Christ-like, actually.
Well,
That's
yeah, and you'll find, I mean, and this kind of practice you find in almost every religion, Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism. You see it almost in every religion if you really look. But it's this idea of sort of trying to connect to, this sort of universal humanity, right? That we're all here, we're all suffering, we're all in this together. And if somebody hurts us or does something to us or even attacks us, there's almost a way to sort of turn that around and say they're suffering. And that is why they're doing this to me, right? And it's almost like a chain of events, right? So if somebody hurts you, well, then you turn around, you hurt someone else. Well, if that can stop with you, right? And you can just learn to sort of, you're suffering too, and I'm going to wish you peace because I can tell you're not peaceful. And so sort of transforming your relationship to the pain and your relationship to, your own ideas of being hurt and not wanting to be hurt, but sort of opening it up and saying, we're all kind of hurting each other. We've all hurt somebody. And so can we just, have a little bit more compassion for those that hurt us? I
Well,
think
I imagine this has changed your life immensely, I
it
would think.
has. Yeah, I have a story on that. It's quick. So, years ago, I was working on a big citywide festival project, and my husband and I initiated it. And so we were getting a lot of publicity, and it was a great project, and it was really meant to lift everybody up. And 90% of the press we were getting was great and wonderful, and everyone loved it. But of course, like with anything that's big and shiny and has an impact and getting a lot of attention, there's gonna be some naysayers, right? Well, I had a reporter kind of take aim at me personally, um, and it got published. This article is just, it was ugly, and it got published on print, it got published online, and I was just so hurt. I mean, I was angry, and then I was angry, and then I started building up all of this resentment. But I was like, nope, gotta be the bigger person, like, gotta. And so I wasn't processing it well. I was kind of trying to avoid the pain, because I didn't want to feel that, and this reporter actually is someone who had been, a bit of a friend, an acquaintance, somebody who, we had worked with before. And so I just honestly felt betrayed. And I was like, oh, and it was all about me, and my hurt, and it was just bubbling. And it really started to wear me down. And I was like, there's got to be a relief. There's got to be a cure for this. I can't let one piece of criticism bring me down like this. So I discovered this loving kindness guided meditation on an app called Insight Timer, which I recommend and still use to this day. And he became my difficult person. When they said time to choose a difficult person, I immediately went to this person because, of course, I'm hurting and I'm angry at him. And I'm wishing him well. And I'm like, I cannot wish him well. Like, this cannot be. Like, why are they asking me to do this? But I was like, I'm going to try this. And I just kept doing it. And then, like, I would come out of the meditation feeling light and feeling like, honestly, there were moments where I was like, I still don't like you, but I'm going to wish you well, and I'm going to wish you peace. And I know that you're suffering too. But the more that I did this, and I did this every day for a few months, and I would always pick him as my difficult person because I knew I needed to process this. And all of a sudden, all of these incredible opportunities started, coming my way. So by exuding this positive energy that I was doing, this loving kindness meditation every day, all these positive opportunities started opening up for me. And I was like, is this, coincidental? Like, what is this? And honestly, years later, when I think of this person, I have gratitude for him. I'm grateful because he taught me how to cope with something like this. He taught me that it's not about somebody criticizing me. It's about me and my relationship to that experience, and how can I become more skillful in my response. And so just much gratitude to that person after many years. And still to this day, when I do loving kindness, occasionally I'll pick him as my difficult person.
Well, that's pretty powerful. That's amazing. And it works. So who would you think benefit from meditation? And is it for everybody?
Well, I guess I would ask, do you suffer? Do you suffer?
Yeah.
And if you're a human being, the honest answer to that question is yes, sometimes
Yes.
I do. And maybe the answer is I suffer more than I'd like to. And if that's the case, then why not try it? Right? It's not affiliated with any particular religion. It can be incorporated into any spiritual practice. It doesn't even have to be a spiritual practice. I mean, even atheists can practice this. What do you have to lose? That being said, it's a simple practice, but it's not easy, right? So it takes time and energy, and you need to have the discipline and determination and a little bit of grit to sit there every day in stillness, even though you have a million things to do and your thoughts are washing down on you like a giant waterfall. It's hard to sit in stillness when there's so much going on in the modern world, but that's where the discipline comes in. And if you can sit, you will experience the benefits. Now, for me, it's about quality of life. I want a higher quality of life. It's that simple. So regular meditation practice for me affords me that, and affords me a richer experience of the world.
Now, how can somebody get started, and how long do they need to be doing it before they'll see positive side effects, or just positivity coming into their life?
Yes. So I'll start with the second question first. So how long will it take to start seeing the positive results of meditation? From personal experience, I felt it after the first sit, 10 minutes into the first guided meditations that I ever did. I felt it immediately. Now, having said that, not all meditation sessions are blissful. And sometimes in the beginning, it can feel like it's getting worse before it gets better. And I think that that's where people get tripped up, because they might have a couple blissful experiences, and then they have one where it's heavy and some stuff is coming up that maybe they've been avoiding. And what happens is, when you start paying attention to your inner process, issues that have been in the background for a while that maybe haven't been fully acknowledged or been suppressed will start to bubble up. And that's actually good, because you need to be able to acknowledge it, see it, process the pain literally, and then be able to sort of let it go. And that's, and especially for people that, have severe trauma, right? This can be kind of difficult. And if you do have severe trauma, I highly recommend doing this with a teacher, an experienced teacher first. Because if you have traumatic PTSD or something like that, and you go to sit, you can be triggered. I mean, so that's something to be very, cognizant of. Also, a lot of people suggest doing meditation or starting meditation in conjunction with therapy, with psychotherapy. It's very helpful, depending on the amount of trauma you've experienced. For someone who's just experienced a normal amount of trauma, like me, I mean, I feel like I've experienced a lot of trauma, but when you look out into the world, maybe it's just a normal amount of trauma, because we've all had some, right? This is my recommendation on that front. Find a teacher And if you can get involved in a meditation group, a community, and in Buddhist language, they use the term Sangha. It's just your community. It's one of the core tenets of this practice, is having a community to support you and practice with you. In an ideal world, you would do that in person. You could go to a yoga studio or a meditation studio. If you're in Frederick, you know about the Frederick Meditation Center. You can look into that. Lots of yoga studios offer meditation courses. We are in a sort of kind of exceptional time right now where in person might not be safe. So there are a ton of online options. I teach online intro to meditation courses, and a lot of people do. A lot of them are free, some of them are paid. But more and more, there's the online communities bubbling up. So I do recommend that. I will say, though, that if you're not ready to go that far and like completely dive in, you could just download the Insight Timer app, or there's a couple other ones, Headspace, Calm. They're phone apps, and they have a lot of guided meditations on there. And if you just start with guided meditations by yourself, literally you can lay in bed at night, in a very calm, lay down, relax, and just listen. That is a gateway. That was my gateway. That's how I sort of opened up into this, was by myself listening to guided meditations, which I found for free.
That's great. And then you can build up.
You build up. And then if it's working, then you just take the next step.
Yes. Now, you had mentioned to me one time about a study they did about 45 minutes of meditation and how it actually physically changed the brain.
Yes. So they have found that, there was a couple different studies done, but one was, it had to do with the left and right prefrontal cortex. So if you have more activity in your left prefrontal cortex, you have a tendency to, be more calm, have more compassion, rate yourself as being happier if you were to be surveyed on it. And then folks that are more active in their right prefrontal cortex, tend to have more anxiety and physical issues, and, are not skillfully managing the stress as well. And I don't have the study right here in front of me, so I am, this is not verbatim from the study, but they did a study with the mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, which was, the grandfather of that was John Kabat-Zinn up in Boston. So he's a great person to sort of look into about this. And they just have done a million is a bit of an exaggeration, a lot of studies around this. And what they're finding is that those folks that took the 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course and did 45 minutes of daily meditation, the activity in their left prefrontal cortex began increasing. So what this told folks was that set mood point that everybody thinks we have from when we're born can actually be changed. And that if you're just kind of naturally a grumpy person, you don't have to be stuck that way, right? Or if you're naturally an anxious person, or if you're naturally depressed, that you're not stuck that way for the rest of your life. And there's actually something you can do to change your mood point.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's powerful. Well, this has been so great, Brooke. Is there anything else you want to say to help someone who might be on the fence of whether to do meditation or not?
Well, I would say that come to my website. Sign up. Maybe I can convince you. So,
what's your website?
So if you come to meditatewithbrooke.com and sign up, and I will be sending out emails and some communications about my offerings. But also, I would say that, for me, really what it boils down to is I am just so grateful that I found this practice while my kids were young, because I feel like I'm not missing their childhood. Right? So if you want a richer experience with those that you love, and which really, when it comes down to it, is the most important thing we have is, our inner circle of people that we love, to have that experience with them and actually live this life with them and be present and be compassionate for them. I mean, to me, that's the most noble cause there is. And, meditation can help with that. So if that's something that you're after, perhaps you'll try.
Well, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Brooke, for all your wonderful wisdom and advice about meditation.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate the opportunity.